Hello, this is Old School from WhatTheBuc.net, and I want to apologize. I took too long to get my Dolphins review video up, but I'm going to get one up there. I had some people request it, so I want to make sure I do that. The Bucs opened their 2010 season with a preseason game down at Sun Life Stadium in Miami, and preseason games are terrific. You get a chance to evaluate talent from top to bottom. It's not so much about looking at the stats and doing the play-by-play review that we do normally in the regular season. It's really about stack ranking those guys that are probably your 2 through 4 or 2 through 6, depending on the position, and getting some overall feel for what's going on with the team. And when you look at that game and how it sort of played out, there are a couple of really impressive things, I think, from a Bucs fan perspective. One, Josh Freeman was efficient and effective. He posted a perfect quarterback rating, but it's on 4 passes. Who cares? That's not the point. When he did throw the ball, it was accurate. He bought time with his feet. And, the throw to Mike Williams that made the top 10 plays or whatever is a hell of a throw, and it's a throw we've seen in training camp. And it's good to see him able and willing to take that shot down the field, and Mike Williams able and willing to bring the ball down. And not only bringing the ball down, but also point out to the official that his feet were in bounds. The check down to Strotter for the touchdown was excellent patience. Again, Freeman buying some time with his feet, reading the play, and making the right throw, Strotter getting in the end zone. Now, on the offensive side of the ball, the offensive line was effective, if not great. They provided some running lanes for Cadillac, who looked terrific. And I think that hopefully over the rest of the course of the preseason, that offensive line will continue to solidify, because Freeman did have to buy himself some time, and I'd like to see that not be the case moving forward. Now, once we get past that starting set on the offensive side of the ball, things get a little bit murky. Probably the biggest disappointment in the game was Derek Ward, who had an abysmal game. He had more carries than any other 2 backs combined. And I think he averaged 1.7 yards per carry. Not only that, he was whining like a little girl most of the game. He's come out subsequently and apologized for his poor performance. Said that the conditions were really bad. Well, guess what? They were bad for everybody. And we're going to see some amazing things against the Chiefs, according to him. Well, we better see some amazing things, because the Bucs are going to be put in an interesting position, because Huggins came in and played very well, which we've seen in training camp as well. Clifton Smith is a guy they're trying to figure out a way to keep on the squad. Derek Ward is going to play himself out of a position if he continues to play this way. I think that in some ways what the Bucs would like to see him do is to go out there and do well, and then maybe move into a team that's looking for a running back, because he's just not worked out here. Even though he was a big free agent acquisition, he has not worked out. And Derek's a nice guy. We've had him on the show, but 1,000 is not going to happen if you can't run in the mud. Last time I checked, the advantage for the running back was in bad conditions, and he not only looked slow, his cuts were bad, and then he wasn't running with any power, which is just pathetic. Now, the quarterback position behind Josh Freeman looked very bad too. Josh Johnson continues to hold on to the ball too long. He's trying to get through every progression. He needs to make his reads and then pull the ball down. Rudy Carpenter, I think, is camp fodder. If I had my way, we wouldn't go into the regular season with 3 quarterbacks, given the 3 that are on the roster. Josh Johnson, I think, physically has the tools. I think this is something that just needs to be coached up, and I think the coaching staff can get that done. I mentioned Huggins had a big game. He's the darling of training camp. I think he ended up with 50-something yards, but he has that pop when he runs the ball. I think you'll see more of him running again. Clifton Smith has been focused a little bit on in practice this week, but I think Huggins has played himself into a spot on the squad. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, we did not see Brian Price. We did not see Myron Lewis. We did see Gerald McCoy, who played well but not great. Steve White had a terrific post on the individual defensive line players. The one who did pop was Michael Bennett, who ended up getting our 1 sack and a number of pressures. We didn't get enough upfield push. We didn't get enough tackles for loss. We saw Geno Hayes and Quincy Black flash a couple times. But what is impressive is when you do look at the stat sheet, they held the Dolphins to 50 yards total rushing, 156 yards passing, right? That is a pretty doggone good effort, especially given the fact that we gave the ball up 4 times. We fumbled or turned the ball over 7 times, but when we recovered a couple. So the net was 4, holding the Dolphins to only 10 points. And, Dolphins did get the win. Raheem Morris at the end of the game opted to go for the touchdown. We were at 1st and goal inside the Miami 5, and we couldn't punch it in. Greg Olsen dialed up a couple of pass plays with Rudy Carpenter, and we couldn't get it done. I'd like to have seen them trying to shove that in through running the ball, but they didn't ask me. My takeaways and other players that splashed, E.J. Biggers, who we talked about a number of times, he came off looking really good on tape again. He continues to impress. Albert Mack is looking up at him right now. Myron Lewis, someone they thought they were grooming to be in that spot, a much bigger, more physically imposing character, had problems with his hamstring just like Brian Price. Though, according to Mark Dominic, who I spoke to today, both of those players should be full go for the Kansas City game. Takeaways were, I think that the team is progressing. I think Josh Freeman is progressing. I think those young receivers are starting to look pretty doggone good, and I think we could be very close to having a set of first and second year receivers as the top three. Kellen Winslow in camp looks good. I expect to see him start to pop a little bit more in the preseason games. I like what I saw. I actually thought the play calling was pretty good from Coach Olson on the offensive side of the ball, with the exception of the play calling inside the goal line. Our red zone offense again has got to improve. I thought defensive play calling was good, even though it was vanilla. I think Coach Morris is going to continue to work some of these things in. And the secondary I thought looked very good. So from a first preseason perspective, I thought it was an outstanding outing, even though we didn't come away with the win. I like the aggressive move of going for the win instead of forcing everyone to watch overtime in the first preseason game. Looking very forward to what we see against Kansas City. I'll be at camp tomorrow for the final training camp practice, and then we'll have our Thursday night pregame show at 7 o'clock, and then Saturday night I'll be live at Raymond James Stadium, which will be blacked out for the first time since, I believe, 1998 for the Bucs and Chiefs, and we'll have some more updates here on WhatTheBuc.net and on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in.